Luxury bags carefully handcrafted in China. The viral TikToks from Chinese factory workers, the internet is now in a frenzy over claims that some of the most iconic designer bags are actually born in the East.
In an unprecedented and explosive twist, Chinese manufacturers have allegedly fired back at Hermes with a countersuit that's already sending shockwaves across the luxury fashion world. These manufacturers aren't just denying accusations of counterfeiting. They're flipping the narrative and leveling devastating claims of their own. According to the lawsuit, Hermès, the iconic French label synonymous with status and exclusivity, has been deceiving its loyal clientele for years. The manufacturers allege that while Hermès proudly stamps "Made in France" on its coveted Birkin and Kelly bags, a significant chunk of the production, from stitching to assembly, has actually been happening quietly in Chinese factories. Let that sink in. For decades, customers have forked over $10,000, $20,000, sometimes over $100,000 for the prestige of French craftsmanship.
Almost finished bags from China factories, back to their own factories, and just do the repackaging and logo installing, something like that.
The Chinese supply behind product. Bags are from Siton Handbag in Dongguan City, Guangdong Province. It's a factory specializing in handbags for 54 years. And it produces 80% of the world luxury bags.
Put the finishing touches on a Kelly, the most difficult bag to build. It starts with 30 distinct cuts of leather and can take 20 hours to complete, 4 hours for just the handle. There are no manuals or cheat sheets. Artisans rely on their training and muscle memory to make every bag.
So Hermès has put out a response to China, and they have like a video in a factory sort of showing people trying to show that they're actually the ones who are making the bags in a factory somewhere in France.
Spent over $100,000 of my own money dissecting luxury bags, cutting them open, analyzing every stitch, every layer. Why? Because I had to know what made those bags so expensive.
Started making his boots in China, and that is these boots right here. This is pretty much the Ugg boot that like most Americans will have in their house. I was very pissed off when I found out the truth because I grew up in Southern California. I remember being in elementary school when I would only see 2 people in the entire school wearing Ugg boots, and they were always the cool surfer kid.
Those bags I cut open, just expensive, nothing special. But they feel truly exceptional.
Our artisans, they need to do 4 years of training to be able to manufacture a Kelly bag. This that you've just seen, the perlage, you need to be very skilled and very, very good.
Some of Hermès products are made in China. Towels are from Fuyue in Shandong. They also make products for Chanel and IKEA. Beddings are from Yue in Shandong. Men's shoes are from Shachi in Shandong. Tableware are from Gaochun in Jiangsu.
It was my first time shopping at Hermès, and let me tell you how it went.
We got a lot of requests, do Hermès next. And that's why we're here in the Highland Park Mall in Italy. Made in China, or maybe made in Chile. Oh yeah, that should be a thing, by the way, because some brands get real creative when it comes to made.
Walk into Hermès and say, hey, I want to buy one of these. You know what they say to you? No, we don't have them. First of all, you have to be an Hermès customers. You have to demonstrate that you like the brand, and then you can only buy one per year.
I've been speaking to this client here regarding selling her Birkin 30 Gris Etane, if I'm not wrong. Gris Etane is the color, and it's palladium hardware. The bag is in box fresh condition, but it's Y stamp, which means it's a 2021.
Only to now be faced with the bombshell allegation that portions of their prized possessions might not even be French at all. It's a gut punch to everything Hermès has built its empire on: heritage, authenticity, and the mystique of Parisian artisans. The countersuit claims that Hermès actions amount to nothing short of consumer fraud, painting a picture of a brand that capitalized on romanticized French imagery while secretly benefiting from cheaper offshore labor. If proven true, it doesn't just undermine Hermès's reputation, it calls into question the very foundation of the modern luxury industry. Because if Hermès, the gold standard of exclusivity, allegedly cut corners and misled customers, who's really safe? The stakes couldn't be higher. For Hermès, this isn't just about winning a lawsuit anymore, it's about preserving the illusion that justifies their sky-high price tags. And for consumers, it's about discovering that the dream they were sold might have been nothing more than a carefully packaged lie. The conflict exploded into public view when Hermès initially took the offensive, filing a high-profile lawsuit against a group of Chinese manufacturers. Their accusation that these manufacturers were flooding the market with counterfeit versions of the holy grail of luxury handbags, the Birkin. Hermès claimed these fakes threatened not just their brand's image, but the entire mystique that surrounds a product many people wait years on a list to even be considered for. They painted themselves as the noble protector of artistry, craftsmanship, and exclusivity. And for a moment, it looked like Hermès would be the clear victim, rallying public sympathy behind them. But then, the manufacturers hit back and hit hard. In a move nobody saw coming, the accused manufacturers didn't just deny the counterfeit claims. They went nuclear, filing a countersuit that flipped the entire narrative on its head. Their retaliation wasn't just about clearing their names, it was about exposing what they allege is a much bigger fraud. According to them, Hermès has been quietly outsourcing significant portions of its production to Chinese factories for years, while still boldly marketing its products as painstakingly handmade in France. They argue that while Hermès was publicly condemning Chinese manufacturing, they were privately relying on it. These manufacturers claim Hermès used Chinese labor for critical parts of bag production, including stitching, cutting, and assembling, only to ship the bags back to France for finishing touches and that coveted Made in France label. The retaliation landed like a bombshell. Suddenly, Hermès wasn't just fighting off counterfeiters. They were fighting allegations that they were no different from the very people they were accusing, profiting off of the same supply chains they claimed to despise. Worse, they were allegedly passing off outsourced labor as artisanal European craftsmanship to an audience willing to pay tens of thousands for the privilege. It wasn't just a legal defense, it was a full-scale character assassination of Hermès' most sacred promise, authenticity. According to the explosive countersuit, Hermès' alleged deception doesn't just amount to a simple marketing fib, it strikes at the very core of international commerce. The manufacturers argue that Hermès' entire branding strategy hinges on one critical lie, that their products are born and raised in France, lovingly crafted by elite artisans. But in reality, they allege these iconic bags are often assembled, stitched, and even partially manufactured thousands of miles away in Chinese factories. Far from the cobblestone streets of Paris, the brand loves to romanticize. This, they claim, isn't just a betrayal of customer trust. It's a blatant violation of international trade laws designed to protect fair competition and honest business practices. Countries across the world have strict labeling regulations, rules that say if a significant portion of a product's manufacturing happens outside the country on the label, you must disclose it. Allegedly, Hermès knowingly skirted these rules, allowing them to slap a Made in France tag onto bags that were, at least in part, made elsewhere. And here's why it matters. The entire value of a Hermès bag lies not just in the leather or the stitches, it's the story. The dream that your Birkin was touched only by the most skilled French artisans, crafted in a historic atelier, steeped in centuries of tradition. That dream is what justifies the $20,000 price tag. Without it, without the romance, it's just another luxury bag, no more authentic than anything else on a crowded shelf. By allegedly hiding the true origins of their bags, Hermès didn't just mislead buyers, they obliterated the level playing field. Competing brands who might have been more honest about outsourcing couldn't match Hermès' mythical 100% French craftsmanship narrative. The manufacturers argue that Hermès gained an unfair competitive advantage by selling a fantasy at full price, while cutting costs behind the scenes. It's a brutal accusation. If proven true, Hermès could be guilty of not just misleading millions of customers, but of fundamentally altering the luxury market by building a global empire on what these manufacturers now call a carefully constructed illusion. This legal battle didn't just rattle Hermès, it shattered the illusion the entire luxury market depends on. Overnight, whispers turned into roars as both consumers and industry insiders were forced to confront an uncomfortable question. How much of luxury is real, and how much is just smoke and mirrors? The countersuit against Hermès cracked open, a vault of suspicion that had been quietly brewing for years. If the most prestigious brand, the one hailed as the last guardian of true craftsmanship, was allegedly bending the truth about its products, what did that say about the rest of the luxury world? Suddenly, everything from Louis Vuitton, trunks to Chanel suits was viewed with a side eye. Was it all just strategic marketing dressed up as tradition? Consumers who once felt a sense of pride carrying a Birkin now felt something else creeping in: doubt. The very foundation of what made these products desirable, the trust, the heritage, the exclusivity, was under siege. Forums exploded with outrage. TikTok creators who flaunted their bags were now making videos wondering if they had been scammed. Even luxury resale sites started quietly reassessing how they authenticated the origin stories of the goods they sold. And the risk for Hermès? Catastrophic. If a court rules that Hermès intentionally misrepresented the origin of its products, the brand won't just face minor fines or a slap on the wrist. They could be staring down massive financial penalties, a tidal wave of class action, lawsuits, and, worse than all of that, the total implosion of their brand's reputation. Hermès isn't just selling leather and thread. They're selling a myth, a centuries-old narrative of French mastery, artistry, and privilege. If that myth dies, so does the justification for charging $20,000 for a handbag that may have roots far from French soil. The fallout could be brutal: plunging sales, plummeting stock prices, global boycotts, and the permanent stain of scandal that no amount of rebranding could ever erase. And it wouldn't stop with Hermès, because if one luxury titan falls, it sets a terrifying precedent. Other brands with murky manufacturing practices could suddenly find themselves dragged into the light, forced to disclose exactly how luxurious their supply chains really are. The entire industry, built on a shimmering illusion of perfection, could come crashing down like a house of cards. Public reaction has been swift and critical. Many consumers feel betrayed by the possibility that their expensive purchases may not be as authentically French as advertised. Industry experts are also weighing in, debating the ethical implications of outsourcing production while maintaining a facade of exclusive craftsmanship. Legally, the case hinges on whether Hermès' labeling practices constitute fraud and whether the company has intentionally deceived consumers about the origins of its products. The outcome could have far-reaching consequences, potentially leading to stricter regulations on product labeling and greater transparency requirements for luxury brands. Beyond the courtroom, this lawsuit challenges the very notion of authenticity in the luxury fashion industry. If a brand as prestigious as Hermès is found to have misrepresented its products, it could erode consumer trust and prompt a reevaluation of what constitutes genuine luxury. In conclusion, the countersuit filed by Chinese manufacturers against Hermès not only exposes potential inconsistencies in the brand's practices, but also ignites a broader conversation about transparency and authenticity in the luxury market. As the legal proceedings unfold, the fashion world watches closely, aware that the outcome may redefine standards and expectations for luxury goods worldwide.